What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video I want to talk about what's happened to Skull and Bones. So we got a new report. Now this is I understand this isn't necessarily new, but I definitely want to talk about this. I love talking about Skull and Bones. I've talked about this game for years on the channel. I think it would be a discredit to the people that watch these videos if I didn't talk about it. So really, last we heard, this was several months ago, Jason Schreier, formerly of Kotaku, now of Bloomberg, had said that this game, Skull and Bones, has been rebooted a couple times, like 2 or 3 different times, that it has really been a messy experience for the game, but he really didn't offer anything more than that this game, yes, it is still alive, but it is not the game that we all saw back when we saw it, okay? And that, again, it's been rebooted a bunch, it's gone through some tough times. Now we have a new report from VGC that's talked a little bit more about what this game is going to do. So the project has reportedly been rebooted after failed attempts to make the game a premium box, in quotations, open world, akin to Far Cry or Watch Dogs. So they were trying to make it, Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, Far Cry. They were trying to make it that kind of game, but now that's not the case anymore. This is according to an anonymous development sources who are saying that Skull and Bones is becoming a live game. As VGC writes, the title will contain a persistent world featuring quests, characters, and storylines that will drastically evolve and change over time. Apparently, Fortnite's live storytelling aspects have been a big influence. It sounds like the game will end up being in the same waters as Microsoft's Sea of Thieves, and a live online multiplayer ocean full of pirates that evolves through seasonal updates. Elizabeth Pellin, writer and director of the cel-shaded shooter, has taken over as creative director after Justin Farron moved to another studio. So Skull and Bones is still happening, but it's taking on a completely different format. So let's talk about this. This isn't surprising. This is terrifying to me. This is pretty scary. I don't love a lot of this, but it is not surprising. Let's go through the positives, okay? Number one, and maybe actually the only one, the game is still alive. And honestly, I do want to remain true to that, because I've been saying, honestly, for months, even for years, that as long as this game still exists, and as long as it can be like a Pirates game, there's hope for it. There's hope that it can still be a solid game. And I mean, there's just general like excitement for me. I'm a sucker for Pirates of the Caribbean is like my favorite movie franchise ever. So I'm super into it, okay? If you have a Pirates game, chances are I'll at least check it out. I did check out Sea of Thieves. I never really liked Sea of Thieves. I never really, I did play it. I actually played it quite a bit when the game first came out, but I just couldn't get latched onto it. So again, pirate game, you have me sold, but you still have to obviously work for the quality. Past that, I don't honestly know what I can say is a positive. Again, I think it sounds like it could, and because all of these games, honestly, the games that are live services, the games that are like this, they all could be good, but and if we're being genuine and honest with each other, this is not the path I wanted this game to go. Now, again, does it sound cool that like the characters, the storylines, all that stuff will always be living on? Yes, but live service games, which is what like Ubisoft calls them, obviously like the microtransaction kind of things that we've seen in the past, they're not good. I mean, they're just flat out not good. Now we know Ubisoft, because I think they've even quoted like the term live experiences or live games or whatever they want to call them. They've said in the past that they are trying to work for a lot of their games, for the future of their games, to approach that model, to like take in that model. So again, that's why like when I saw that's a live game, literally that word live, not surprising, because Ubisoft has literally admitted that they want their games to do that in the future. It's just, it always comes back to the same thing for me. At the end of the day, we're going to get a product. Now, the product is not going to be, at this point, it's not going to be anything close to what we had. The mechanics, maybe literally the actual like ship battles, maybe that will be similar. Maybe that'll still kind of harken back to like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That may be it. But there may be sword fighting. There's probably going to be conversations now. Again, there's going to be like quests. It's going to be a much. Now, we know this game already was supposed to feature like, you were supposed to have friends. You were supposed to have different people that were going to take over your ships, or like different ships in your group, So I guess in a way they still are trying to have like a similar experience to what they had before, right? They're trying to keep the soul of the game they originally pitched to us, which I have said for a long time. That's the most important thing, that I would be okay, or I'd be more willing to listen to new ideas, new changes you've made with this game, as long as you keep what the fundamental game was supposed to be. Now, again, it really seems like they've changed what the game is supposed to like live into, or like how it's supposed to continue on. Now the game is going to live on forever, right? It's going to be a game that lasts a very, very long time. Whereas if it was a Far Cry, if it was a Watch Dogs, those games end. Those games end. You can do a lot of stuff, in them, and you can experience them for a very long time, but then they eventually end and you give us a new one, right? That's just generally how it goes. Now, again, what I will say is Skull and Bones kind of always seemed like it was going to be a game that they would want to kind of pump into it over time, that it wasn't going to be kind of a one and done, just like an open world pirate game, right? Now, again, that's what I want. Ultimately, at the end of the day, one game out there in this world, I truly hope to get literally a Pirates of the Caribbean, not necessarily like licensed like Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones and them, but I literally want a Pirates game that you go around. You can have it. You can have quests, you can have characters, you can have an evolving storyline branch, all these different things. You can have that, but you have one succinct like story or presence or game, and then it's over. That's ultimately one day what I'll want. Again, especially like the Fortnite thing, that Fortnite's like a big inspiration. I mean, when I think of Skull and Bones, I don't know about you guys, but when I saw Skull and Bones and I think of Skull and Bones, the first game that doesn't come to my mind when I think of comparables is Fortnite. I don't know. It's honestly conflicting with me, because it doesn't sound god awful. Like I'm not like immediately turned off where it's like I'm just not gonna get the game anymore. I still want to support it. I still want this game to exist, and I still want this game to come out. And I still want this game to be good. And I'm very happy that the game is still alive. Ultimately, I do want to again like remain strong on that kind of principle that I had, where it's like as long as this game still exists, we still kind of have hope for a decent game. And sign me up until obviously they prove me wrong, or they prove that they can't actually handle it, right? I want to stick with that, but the live service and them changing it really now into something that I just don't think was ever intended to be. Now, again, because it's been rebooted, because it's kind of gone over and over like that, it's going. I mean, that's just generally what's going to happen. You're not going to have the Skull and Bones that we knew. It's not just going to randomly come back, right? Because ultimately, if it did, they were trying to make that work, and it just didn't work. This could end up being like a saving grace. Like maybe the game comes out and it ends up actually being really good. Maybe they can make this kind of thing work. I don't know. I really, it's very conflicting thoughts. I think overall, I'm definitely still happy to hear that the game is still alive and the game is still coming, even though, again, it's a completely different game. I'm still happy with that, but I'm just very worried of what the game could become, right? But at the same time, Mr. Optimistic, Mr. Give Games chances, which is me, by the way. I'm talking about myself, and I'm going to do that. I'm honestly going to do that with Skull and Bones. Hearing about this now, it's just a leak. It's not Ubisoft confirming it. It's not anything like that. At least hearing about it is decent. Remember, I've talked about over the past couple days, especially when talking about this Ubisoft Forward stuff, we're going to eventually hear or find out what Ubisoft's got planned after March of 2021. We know literally nothing that Ubisoft is doing past March of 2021. So could Skull and Bones be a game that's ready to go by like next fall? It could be, and in which case we're going to hear about it eventually, right? Maybe not soon, but eventually we're going to hear about it and hopefully see it again. So hopefully, again, good, better times are ahead for us with Skull and Bones. Again, I'm going to try and keep my my optimistic kind of point of view up there, right? So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Are you guys still excited for Skull and Bones? Are you worried about the live action mechanics of it? Let me know your thoughts as always, and make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And if you guys have not already, I have a second channel. I cover the same like games, movies, same thing as this, but just additional topics, additional like different kinds of things than I would normally cover here. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. It's called Podcast Now Plus is the YouTube channel. So if you guys want to check that out, or if you have not yet already, it would mean a lot to me if you guys would, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be covering any additional Skull and Bones things that come out. If there's any news about it, official news, non-official news, doesn't matter. I'll definitely be covering it, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.